Today on the Tim Marner podcast show, I've got Peter Gray, the networking guru, the networking master, Mr. Network. Peter, thank you for coming on, my friend. Let's talk about networking. What is networking?
It's a great question that gets asked a lot. And firstly, thanks for having me on, Tim. Great to be here. Networking can be seen by many different people in different ways, but ultimately, it's about putting yourself in a room of people that you're going to be able to help and they're going to be able to help you. Most people go to networking events because they want to get more business. They might not know how to get business. If you're a natural salesperson, you might think, well, okay, I don't need to network, I'm a salesperson. But you might be in a business where selling is not your strength or what you see as your strength, but know that you still have to do some sort of business generative activity. So you think, right, I'll go along to one of these networking events. But they can look like lots of different things. Networking events can be at a bar at night, it can be at a golf club at 6 o'clock in the morning, and everything in between. And people, are frightened, can often be frightened of. My wife's frightened to death of it. If you said to her, go to a networking event, oh, do I have to stand up and speak? No, I don't want to do that. And so it can be, networking can be what you want it to be, but ultimately it's about finding people that are going to help you and finding the right tribe that are going to help you. Because you can go into a networking event that might be the wrong industry, might be the wrong sort of people, that might be a corporate networking event and you're not corporate, or it might be the other way around. But it's ultimately about finding people that are going to help you.
How did you get into it in the first place? How did you get into?
So like a lot of people, like I've just mentioned there, a lot of people think, right, I need to go and get some more sales from somewhere. And I had a double glazing business at the time, and I thought, right, I'll go after some of these networking events and see if I can drum up some business. And that's what I did. And fortunately, probably my first, anyone who's done networking has usually been to a B&I meeting at some point, and I went along to a B&I meeting and stood up, spoke about what I was doing. I thought, I'm all right, I'm a double glazing salesman, I'm confident enough to stand up and talk about what I do. And somebody gave me a referral in the room, and I got business straight away. And I thought, this is all right. This is how it works. And of course, I was lucky. It doesn't always work that way, but that sort of got me into thinking networking could work for my business. But I think I'm just a natural connector. I get a buzz from putting people together and saying, why don't you speak to him or her, or what you're looking for? I know somebody who does that. And I just do that generally. I was brought up, by my mum used to say, it's nice to be nice, and if you can help someone, you should help them. So that's sort of a work ethic or a moral that I have. And then I saw saying there's an American guy called Zig Ziglar, and he says, if you help enough people achieve what they want, you can achieve everything you want. And that sort of resonated with me when I was sort of quite young. And they're all things when later as you get more involved in networking, if you've got that natural tendencies to help people and connect people, and networking comes naturally to you. You'll know someone in your WhatsApp group, we're all in WhatsApp groups now, aren't we, who will be the one who says, right, I'm organising this on Saturday, we're all doing that. Do you want me to get the minibus sorted? Are we going here? Just somebody that's always the one that's doing the stuff, that's pulling it together. And you've got other people in there that if nobody did that, then they'd never leave the house probably. But it needs, life needs those different people, and a networking group is very similar. So that's how I got into it, because I just felt, I didn't realise at the time that what I did was actually networking. It was because it was just what I did, in putting people together. And you got to go networking, it becomes a way of life. But it worked for my business. And then what really started working was when I started connecting other people up. What seemed to happen, and this may be a coincidence, but I've seen it happen with others, so it can't be, is that the more people I started to introduce and help them and put them in front of people, the more work I started to get, and more people wanted to help me and pass work my way. So it became quite clear that the more I help people, so I put my energy and effort into that, because when you first go to a networking event, you want to tell everyone what you do really quickly, get everything out there, blurt it all out. I do this, and this. Can I sell to you? Do you want to buy from me? Do you want to buy from me? Can you recommend someone that's going to buy my products or services? And actually, if you just go into the room and listen to the room and see where I can help those other people, they actually go away going, hey, he was all right. He came along and wanted to help me. And then they remember you. And then hopefully you remember them enough that remember what you do, then they start recommending you. And the compound effect of that over time can be a lot of business coming your way. But I just enjoy putting people together.
60-second pitch. Someone stands up and got to pitch themselves.
Yeah.
What's your advice for people when they stand up have to pitch themselves?
So keep it absolutely simple. a lot of people do have a lot of facets to their business or what they do, and they feel like they've got to get all those out very, 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 very quickly and get it all out, get loads of acronyms out, tell you how long they've been in business, what they've done, and just keep it as simple as possible. I said to people, at any networking event you go to, be the easiest person to help in the room, because you'll be in a room full of 30, 40 people maybe at a networking event, and with the best will in the world, I'm not going to be able to help every single one of those people. So we're all inherently lazy. We'll all gravitate to the person who makes it the easiest for us to do it. So you need to be the easiest person in that room to help. So make your message really simple, really clear. Just talk about one thing that you do, not the 10 things. You probably do 10 things. You probably do 10 things very well. But if you get up and you've got 60 seconds, you've got to get your name of the business out there, probably where you come from. And then there's 10 seconds gone. So you've got 50 seconds. You just want to sort of get a nice clear picture of one thing that you do well, give an example of why you do it well and how you help your client base, whatever that client base looks like, you know, how your product or services help that person, how they feel when they deal with you, and then remind them again at the end and keep it nice and clean and simple.
So when you decided to set up, you set up your own BNI now in Manchester, haven't you?
So I run BNI, I'm acting as a consultant for BNI, running as Managing Area Director is my fancy title.
What does that mean?
In Manchester. So that I help all the BNI groups across Manchester, which we've got 8, about to have 9. So there's over 200 members within BNI in Manchester. Obviously BNI, for those people who don't know what it is a global organisation, global networking, the biggest referral networking organisation in the world. So I'm responsible for helping the groups in Manchester. Each group has between sort of 15, 20 up to our biggest one is 50 odd people. Make sure that they're getting the most for their membership, because it's a membership based organisation, as most networking groups are. Make sure that the people that are running it have all the support they need, making sure the members are understanding things like we just spoke about there, how to make yourself understood, how to have effective one-to-ones with people, because no one has ever stood up and spoke for 60 seconds and got life-changing business. Unless you've got like some life-changing product or service, but most people haven't. Most people are plumbers or electricians or solicitors or IFAs. You know, they're doing stuff that there's other people doing what they do. So you have to develop a relationship with somebody. The actual 60-second pitch that we've just spoke about is about creating enough interest in you that someone's going to want to have a further conversation with you. You're never going to sell all those products and services in 60 seconds. You're not. You're just making somebody goes, all right, okay, yeah, You might be lucky that you walk in a room and they need that product or service that day. But that doesn't happen often. You're just trying to make sure that somebody's interested enough, they want to have a further conversation and learn a bit more about what you do. And that might just be about you as well. So it's the law of attraction. You've got to be somebody that, you know, they seem interested enough, because there's loads of people out there who do what we do. Loads of them. You just need to get on the Google, you'll find, you know, hundreds of thousands probably whatever it is you do. So what you're trying to do is make yourself interested enough that they want another conversation with you. Not that you're going to sell everything to them in one go. So that's what my responsibility is within that, to help the members understand what that looks like, what networking looks like, how they can become more understood in those meetings and outside of the meetings, and to support the groups that run it, and obviously everything that goes on in between, all that. There's lots of networking dramas. People get very uptight about what can go on in a networking group. And
what do you mean?
Well, people can get, it's a networking group, you go in there to get more business, but people... it can become all-consuming to some people, and it becomes, you know, very dramatic, and I don't know how to describe it because it just sounds a bit ridiculous, but becomes their focal point of the week. You know, for example, if you've got somebody that's a one-man band or woman or solopreneur that's not seeing or interacting with other people during the week, and then they go to their networking meeting, that's a big deal to them, and it's as much about the social aspect it is about generating business to other people. It's very much about generating the business and getting on with the day. So some people they said something. I'm trying to think of a recent example. They hold the seat for being a kitchen fitter, and somebody else mentioned kitchens for like 1 second in what they were doing, because they were they can't say that because I'm the kitchen guy in the networking group, and really it's not really affected your life in any great way, shape or form. That has it. It's not. So I don't feel like I'm giving some bad examples there, Tim, but yeah, networking can become, I say there's no such thing as a networking emergency, but sometimes there is for some people.
Why do why do people not last at BNI? Why? What is it you think that, you know, I've heard it so many times, people try being at home and it didn't work for me. What are the main reasons for that?
I mean, BNI does work for a lot of people. And networking works for a lot of people. There's obviously, I do other stuff as well as BNI, but in the common myth, I think, that people have is they think they'll turn up, stand up for 6 seconds, and then suddenly start getting lots of referrals. And it isn't about that. It's about building relationships. So if you join any networking group and want to just turn up, stand up for 60 seconds, talk about your business and leave again, you ain't gonna get the business. So people come and say, "Oh, that didn't work for me. That BNI, that networking, that whatever it is that they're doing didn't work for me." Yeah. The onus is on
because you get two, don't you? You get 2 times we can go for free, and then you've got to pay after that.
Yeah.
And people thinking that too, they're going to get it, and they're not actually.
Yeah, because they've not built the relationship in the room at that point.
Yeah.
They've not built the relationship. They've not spent the time to get to know the other person. They've not looked at how they can give referrals to the other person, because that's when people are going to be more interested in helping you when you're trying to help them and you're showing interest in what they're doing. There's much more rapport built, isn't there? If I came in today and just talked at you for 20 minutes and told you all about me and what I do, and then said, "Do you want to buy?" and then I left again, you're going to go. You might think, even if you thought I was all right, you're going to go, "Well, that was a bit one-sided." You know, but you've got to come into a meeting, understand what you do, ask questions. You know, first thing we did today, we come in here, didn't we? I started asking what your day's been like, what you're doing, how do you know such a body that we, mutual people that we know and stuff like that. You get people that just want to come in and hunt and want to suck work out of the room, and that will never work.
Hunt,
yeah. They're just hunters who want to come in and take what they can out of the room. If you come into the room and look to, and this is not just being at. If you want to see where you can give into the room, then you're going to be more successful. But there are no short-term... Networking is not a short-term fix to business. If you want short-term fix, you're better off doing some Facebook ads or Google ads, or spending money on Sky adverts or something like that people will see and have an immediate reaction because they need that product or service there and then they react to that. That isn't networking. Networking is about building up relationships over time. People then are going to keep recommending you, and there's no stronger way of getting business. Somebody recommending you. You know, if me and you are pals, and you say I know, and I say I need a particular product or service, I need to book a holiday, and you go, "You need to speak to my mate." You know, she books all our holidays. She does a really good job. We've never had a bad holiday. We've never been to a bad hotel. Then that is going to count much more to me. I'm going to believe that because I trust you, and I'm going to then go in on, holiday.com and book a holiday and so on. So no quick fix. You've got to build relationships with people, but you're not going to recommend that travel agent in that example I've just given until you've used them, you've built up trust with them, you've probably booked one of your own holidays, and then you wouldn't recommend me to them without you using them first. And all that doesn't happen in one meeting, does it? In 60 seconds, that happens over time. So the longer the time goes on, the confidence curve goes up. The higher the confidence, the longer the time goes on, then the more referrals are built. The object really is to build that drag that timeline down as quickly as possible, and you do that by having more one-to-ones, having more meetings, build the relationships quicker. Develop rapport, develop shared interests, shared outlooks on life, all those things. That'll make those relationships build quicker, and people recommend you quicker. But
shall I throw some examples at you, right?
Yeah,
and then I'll go to you. There's this person, right? Yeah. Women's only personal trainer. Yeah. Right, and she wants to get out there more. What would you tell her to do? Would BNI be right for that person?
So BNI works for very niche businesses, because somebody like that, in that example, her target audience are obviously cut in half straight away. Yeah. And then some people don't like exercising, so it's cutting it down again. And some people, I don't know, are too busy. That's usually one of the excuses for exercising and stuff, isn't it? So the more niche we get, then the harder it is for her to just go out and find people that want her product services. She's only making money when she's running courses or classes. Yeah. So she can't spend all the time out there networking. So what you're better off doing is spending that one time a week or fortnight or monthly, whatever that networking group is, to build those relationships and getting those people out there, then finding those people for you. So yes, it works very much for niche businesses where you want specific sort of type of people. It also works well for businesses that, I know I'm going off your example here, it also works well for people that have product service that everybody uses. So, you know, an insurance broker, an IFA, you know, people that everyone is using. The ones that are in between, they're probably the ones that, some of the examples where they thought it didn't quite work for them because they're not quite everyday stuff, and they're not desperately niche, so they can't go to other groups. If you're niche, you know, there's nobody going to be doing what you do. I mean, you lock out your seat or lock out your, you're the only person in that room. But in an area like Manchester, for example, if you've got a really niche seat where nobody else does, you've got nobody else in Manchester doing it, so your network widens even bigger. So the more niche you are, the more it can work for you, because other people are recommending you push your name out there rather than you having to go out and do it. So yeah, for niche businesses like that, to go back to your absolute example, yeah, it would work.
What are the other things you do then? What other networking things do you do?
So I'm heavily involved in a number of franchises for Grafters. So Grafters is a networking for people just in property, trades and construction. So it's not your general networking. So because one of the, you know, the things that people have against general networkers, they might be quite specific in what they do, and they come along, say they're an architect, and they come along and they sit next to somebody that's doing like a florist or a divorce lawyer or something like that. They don't see them as a direct referral partner or somebody that there's an initial connection with, and they just want to be in the room with people that are going to use, all of them are going to use their products and services. Now, some people sell through the room, some people want to sell into the room. It depends on what your products or services are. So Grafters is purely for people in that property, trades, construction sector. So nearly everybody in the room has got a project they're either on or going to be on that they can involve other people in the room on. So it becomes quite a powerful room to be in, and you hear a lot of, you know, in a more general networking group, the referrals take longer to gestate, because you talk about what you're doing, you have to educate people on what it is that you do, so they might not understand that product or service. They then have to go out and find referral partners for you, where in a grafter's room, for example, there's lots of people already working on jobs that you know, builder's going to need someone that's doing the flooring, going to need someone that's doing the plastering, then they're going to need a painter and decorator, they're going to need someone maybe to refinance the sale of the property. They're all in the room together, so it sort of speeds the process up. So similar concept, obviously, putting people together, building relationships in the room, and you might, you know, have a specific firm that you want to be working with that somebody else is working on. So, for example, I've just been at an event this morning where people want to work with, you know, fit out company. And somebody said, I'm already working with that fit out company. So he's then able to bring 4 or 5 people in the room into that introduction, rather than just one person where you might get in a more general networking. But both have, you know, I have a lot of people who do both, because some people, you know, as we've just been talking about, love networking. So, and my background is property, trades, construction, being from the sort of glazing industry and that sort of stuff. So I first got involved in doing that because I saw it as a method for me to get business for my factory that I had at the time. But now, you know, I sort of operate it as a way to, you know, it's a membership group, so people pay to be in the group, and then they get lots of introductions and get lots of business from it. So that's the other bit that I do, and then we run sort of ad hoc networking events, how to get more leads in business and construction and things like that, and networking lunches and things like that as well. So yeah.
Which bit of it do you like? Do you love the most, mate? What's your, you know, why are you still sort of like doing this?
I think it is that connecting people up. When you're in a room and somebody says, I'd like to, if anybody knows this, or even better, they'll say, I'd like an introduction into this person in this particular company. And you sat there and you go, I actually know them. I can make that introduction. It's quite like, it sort of gets the, you know, endorphins going. I love doing that. I love watching people be connected up and then hearing the story later on, when they said, Pete, you introduced me to that guy. I just had a meeting with him 2 weeks ago, and I've just got a purchase order this morning off him, and it's just brilliant. And they're not sort of, I'm not saying that because I want them to thank me or anything like that. It's just knowing that difference those connections make is so powerful. I was at a meeting yesterday where somebody said a visitor that came to the last meeting, they didn't join the group, just came along as a visitor. He said, I've just got an 170 grand contract off him, £170,000 contract from putting 2 people in a room together. And I don't know what his margins are in his business, but even at 10%, at 5%, there's still a few quid in that, isn't there? You know, so, and you're just doing that by putting 2 people in a room together. I don't even know the visitor who came along, and they've not visited again. It wasn't for them, but they've still done business with people in the room. So making those connections and finding out that the business has been done by people that you put together is a great buzz. That's the bit I love, and it sounds a bit corny, and it sounds a bit like, oh yeah, of course it was, but I do genuinely enjoy putting people together like that. So that's the bit I love.
Where is the one in Manchester that you run? Do you run one main one, or you just
no?
all of Manchester?
So Grafters is I've got 4 groups. One's in Bolton, not far from here, the holiday in there. I've got one at Sale, which is where I've been to today actually. We've got one at Worsley, at Stacks Trade Centre, and then I've got one that's online for people that it's easier to get to online who travel about and stuff like that. So I've got an online one as well, and then obviously the Manchester B&I stuff that are spread across city centre right out to sort of Didsbury and up in Bolton, one up at the Bolton Arena up there. So yeah, pretty much spread out across Manchester.
How did you get that gig then for the B&I? Did someone put you forward for doing that?
So I started off networking for my business within B&I, and did all right with that. I took some various more roles on. B&I talk about credibility, visibility, and credibility is profitability, and I believe that. So I thought right, I'll give that a go then. And I am one of those people that if I get involved in something, I do it full
Visibility,
on.
credibility, profitability.
Profitability, yeah.
Right, okay.
I do it full on. I commit to it. So I didn't just join a group. I sort of thrust myself forward, and then within a few months I was the guy running the meeting, and then I became part of the regional team and doing more stuff with more groups. And because I thought, well, the more I do, the more people know me, more people will hopefully pass my business. And that appeared to come true. It's hard to tangibly measure it, but it can't be coincidental. It happens to lots of people who do it. So I did that, and then B&I is a franchise. It's a global business, American company, and the guy that had the franchise for Manchester. So I'll just take a step back from that. So the UK master franchise for B&I was owned by a family, and they sold that back to B&I Global, America, basically. So they bought the master franchise. Then a number of the franchisees in the UK were given the opportunity, as I understand it, to if they wanted to get out, they could sell the franchise back to B&I Global. So Andy, who had the Manchester franchise, did exactly that. He sold the franchise back to B&I Global. So then they obviously needed somebody to run it, and approached me to act as a contractor because they saw me as being somebody who was influential within the B&I operation across Manchester. So I took that role, and I've been doing that a couple of years now. A couple of years since that. It feels, when you think back when it was a couple of years. So that's how I got that gig, just by being an active member of what was the regional team within Manchester, and they needed someone to do it. And that gives me more visibility now, because I love working with the members in Manchester. I love doing exactly what we've just been speaking about, connecting people up. Because I sort of operate across the different groups. I might go to a group today and someone will say, actually I need someone to do this, and I go, well, was it one of our other groups, there's someone that does that, and I put them together. But again, the more visibility I get in doing that, people come to me and then pass business to me as well. So I get double bubble at it effectively. I'm doing something I enjoy. I love connecting people together, and if I do a good job at it, people think of me, remember me, and pass business to me as well. So that's how I got that gig. And the grafter stuff was something similar. I saw it probably as an opportunity to generate business from a glazing business at the time, because there's lots of property people in there that want my products, services. So that's why I started going as a visitor to that, and then just saw it as an opportunity again to take on those franchises, and that's been quite successful for me. And I've took a couple more on since then as well. So it's just opportunity, seeing opportunity. I mean, I think everyone in life strives. They want a job, don't they, where they're doing what they love doing and they can earn a living from it. That's utopia for most people. Is this? I don't know who has the saying, find a job you love and you never work again in your life. And I'm not saying I sort of dance on fluffy clouds every day in doing it, because none of us do it. But that sort of fulfills that. Because I'm not just doing that, I'm also using it to generate referrals for my own business. And a great story I've just acquired a new business very recently, which is a great story through Grafters, because I met someone who was a loss assessor, claims management business he got me involved because a car crashed through the front of a shop. I went along and replaced all the glazing for him. And I thought, that's not a bad job, that. I just went along, measured it, quoted it, got the job. Didn't have to go through 3 different quotes with the people, deposit paid without any aggravation, did the job quickly, got paid. Lovely. Like you'd want all jobs to be. All jobs are like that. So I ended up having a coffee with him afterwards. I said, I enjoyed that job. Like, how do I get any more of them gigs? Tell me a bit more about what you do. Because I love that as well. I'm a natural sort of inquisitor, you know, I like understanding how things work a little bit more than just the surface level. Well, how's that actually work? What do you do to generate it? Where do you get your leads from? How do you do it? So I had that coffee with him, and basically he had a franchise for a claims management business, and I said that sounds brilliant, because within all the network that I have, I've got all the referral partners that would send referrals in for that. So whether that be insurance brokers, block management companies, plumbers, leak detection businesses, all that. I know all them through all my networking, and over here in the other part of my networking, I know all the trades and people who could do all the work. And I can sit in the middle of that and use my network that I've built up over the last 15 years. That sounds like that would be. And he said, well, I'm glad you think so, because I'm looking to get out. Wasn't quite as blunt as that, but that's for the purpose of this discussion. So it went from there, and I've just recently acquired that business and that franchise for doing that, and that is directly through being a networking group. That's directly building another business for me that I can use that to build my business, provide for my family, put food on the table. But guess what? When I'm doing all these jobs, when I start getting these claims to manage, guess where all the work's going? Into my network. So all those people that are in my network will benefit from that, and it's that ripple effect of dropping a stone in and watching it happen. There's a great story of a guy in Manchester. I'm sure he won't mind me mentioning him on this podcast. Dave Jones, who runs Glazers ETL law firm in Manchester. He was in a networking group in B&I, and he had an accountant. And apologies to Dave if he's listening, says I get this story not quite right, but don't let a good story get in the way of the facts. He went out with an accountant in the group who introduced him to somebody else on a night out, and they said, I think they've had a few beers, and they've gone, we actually would look to acquire a law firm. We'd love to get a law firm in Manchester. We'd love you to run it for us. Go and find us one, we'll buy it, and you can run it. And they did that. He went and acquired Glazers, found Glazers, which was an old established law firm in Manchester, but was probably ripe for sort of investment. Took that business on, took it to, ETL were the company that funded it, and ETL Global now, a huge global company. And they've built that law firm up, fantastic, well-respected law firm in Manchester. They've got offices in London and Liverpool, all over Europe. They're growing the business through acquisition, through growth. Fantastic. And that house has been built on that one introduction at a networking group. And this is a multi-million-pound company. Some companies say, I'm too big to go networking, or B&I, I'm too big a business for B&I, or there's not big enough businesses in the room. Well, this is what can happen when you can meet people at a networking event. You can turn that into a multi-million-pound, company, and continuing to grow. And that's just there's loads of examples like that. Sorry, I went off a tangent there, Tim.
No, it's good. It's a good story, mate. I think it's people need to realise the networking side of it. As many Facebook ads you do and as much social media you do and stuff like that, there is something very, very powerful about networking, isn't there?
Absolutely. It's the relational thing, isn't it?
I think just people get stuck on it, mate. Even myself, I've been to B&I and I'm like, is this a cult? Are they sacrificing pigs in the back? But then when you meet the heads of them, like you and Jen Harrison, and I meet Jason Jones, I'm just like, oh my God, these people are, what people always say, like, nice guys finish last. Yeah. I'm like, why does it have to be like that? No. You know what I mean? The Jen Harrisons, the Jay Jones, the people like you, they're nice people.
Absolutely.
And
some of the best people I know I've met through networking that are now friends. Some of them.
I think I've met the hunters. What you're on about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's fucking really put me off, mate. Really put me off. And I'm like, I don't want to be sat to this cunt.
Yeah.
I can feel it on him. I can feel his energy on him.
Yeah.
You're not here for anybbe else but yourself.
It's that law of attraction I was mentioning earlier on, and you can almost sense it straight away. You get it. The ones they're coming at you as they're walking towards you. They're thrusting a business card at you before they've started speaking. They don't start.
I thought Jay Jones was like that, mate, when I first met him.
Was
he was rubbing business cards, 2 for really good or 1, and then it was just like the old.
And particularly, he's a big lad, Jay, isn't he? He's coming at you, thrusting a business card. You're like, what's going on? What's going to happen here? but you get it. People are just trying to suck the life out of you by telling them all about them, telling them all about your business, and that does put people off. And and everything. We go to I use this analogy quite a bit with B&I particularly. People say, I tried that B&I, I didn't like it. I'll say, well, there's loads of B&I. There's 350,000 members in B&I. They're in 78 countries all over the world. Every chapter runs to the same sort of set agenda. But presumably you've been out for a meal. We've all been out for meals, been to a restaurant. Have you ever had a bad meal? Most people have been to a restaurant, had a bad meal or a bad experience, or didn't like it, didn't like the vibe of it, whatever it was. But you didn't go home and go, I'll tell you what, I'm never going to a restaurant again. I'm never going out for a meal ever again because I had a bad experience once at one restaurant. You go to another restaurant. Yeah. You don't think that's me done. Even if you went to, let's use an example, you could go to a bad Nando's. Yeah. You can just get a shit waiter. Or a shit server, or the chef was off that day, and it doesn't mean you're never going to go to Nando's again. Yeah. You might not go back to that one, but you're gonna. And so I encourage people to give it another try. Go to another group, because those people, everyone's a different vibe. Everyone's a different. Attracted to different sort of people. You can have groups that are very trades heavy, that are a bit more laddie, dare I say, that are a bit more like that. And if you're a young female solicitor, for example, that might not be your vibe. And that's fine. That's okay. But there'll be other groups that are very professional services heavy, that you might walk in there and think, this is brilliant. These are just my people that I'm going to be able to refer work to. And that's not the fault of the group that has a lot of trades in it, because that group will be doing well, they'll be passing lots of business to each other. It's just not the right room for that person. So I'd always encourage people to, if you're not sure, make sure you're not sure, and go back to another group. But yeah, it's got to feel right, and just because you meet one dickhead, because there's never a shortage of them in anything that we do, is there? And networking groups seem to attract their fair share of them as well, particularly as one-off visitors that are hunting. It's more look beyond that and look at the people who've been the long-standing members in this group, who's on that leadership team, who's the person standing up running the meeting, because they're the people that have probably been in and around it a while, and they've probably been in and around it a while because they're getting good business out of it. Well, how are you doing it? I went when I first went into B&I, I think I told you the story 10 or 15 minutes ago about when I went and got a referral, which turned into business straight away. First meeting, I thought, this is brilliant. And then didn't get any more business for what felt like ages, because I'm quite impatient. Probably was 5 or 6 weeks, but it felt like a lifetime. And I'm a bit like you. Have I been conned here? Is this a bit of a cult? What's that? Did they do that to everyone who comes in for stuff and get? But then I thought, well, I did get the work and I did get paid on it, so it's not that much. It can't be that much of a con here. So I looked around and I looked at who I perceived to be the ones who were successful in the room. And because I'm heavily involved in football, I'm a football chairman as well. I see everything as a league table. And I looked at who's sort of top of the league table. I thought, right, I'll speak to them first. I'll sit down with them and say, why are you being successful? Why are you doing better than those people that I deem to not be successful? What is it that you're doing? And it wasn't that complicated. It was that they were concentrating on giving referrals to other people. And I had a business at the time that was spending a few quid on different things. So I started spending my money with other people in the room where I could. And it almost seemed to click with me suddenly starting to get more business. So if you brush aside the hunters who are people who are just trying to get business from you, and look at the people who are actually the ones who are asking you questions about you, then that's the people to speak to in the room, not the ones that are probably going to put you off. The ones that put you off are never the ones you're going to do business with anyway, so just sort of take the card and put it in the square filing cabinet when you get back to the office. Yeah. But don't let it stop you going back to another group or going networking. Follow up, who was in the room that you didn't get a chance to speak to because you had all those people that were trying to sell at you, and you cleared off quickly because they put you off. There'll be people in the room, I guarantee it, in any networking event you go to, whether it's B&I, Grafters, Shout, Best of, anything you go to, there'll always be someone in the room that's good for you and that you can be good for them. Guaranteed.
I love that, mate. Yeah. I get it. I mean, you've changed my perspective on it, to be honest, mate. Yeah.
I do get why people don't like it. I completely get it because I've had it myself. And particularly at some of these events, when you go somewhere and you get sat down somewhere, so you've no choice in where you are then at that point. With you've been sat with either somebody next to you or two people next to you, somebody sat there, and you just have no click with them. You don't. They're selling at you.
Yeah.
You just get, sometimes you just get a naturally feel for somebody, don't you? That's just life, isn't it? We like some people, we don't like some people. If everybody liked the world, it'd be a boring place. And that will put people off. They think, I don't want to do it. I just don't want to. It's not for me, that networking. But just like with most things, you've got to push through, do things that make you feel a bit uncomfortable. Usually, can have a good result for you. If we did everything if we just lived in a comfort zone, it's a boring place to live in, isn't it? And your comfort zone might be that you're already getting a good enough income from what you do, and you're sat in a comfort zone, and that's fine. It's not for everyone. You don't have to do it. But if you're not getting what you need through your business, you've not got the level of business or the leads that you need to feed what it is that you're doing, but you're just uncomfortable. I'm just not a natural networker. I don't like standing up talking. We had. I keep going off on tangents here. I remember somebody that I know very, very well now. I'm not mentioned on this podcast, but great friend through networking. I remember her coming to her first networking. I was running the event. And we're going around the room and people are speaking about what they do. And I came to her and I looked at her, and fear on her face. She was like shitting herself. You could just tell in her face. And I went to speak. She couldn't even say anything. And you can sense that. So I didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable. And I said, well, come back to you in a minute. And then carried on going around the room, and I sort of looked at her, and I could tell she wasn't happy. So we just carried on, because we're not there to make anyone feel uncomfortable. And I was chatting to her after the event. She said, I was fine. I thought I was going to be okay. And then as you were coming round the room and getting closer and closer to me, I was thinking, I can't do it. And I just froze when you come to me. And she actually said to me, but I want to come back next week. So she came back again to the next meeting.
Go to Mike for a second.
Sorry. So she came back to the next meeting, and obviously I remembered this happening. I said, I'll just do the same again. I'll come to you. I said, I'll come to you a bit earlier this time, rather than you, so it's not building, the tension's not building. But if it's not for you, just give me the little shake of the head, and I'll move past you. And I got to her, and she just said her name and what she did, and sat down again. Now, the end of that story is, now if you met her now at a network event, you think she's like a serial networker, she's so good, she delivers that 60-second pitch perfectly, has a great business, does a great product and service for her clients. And if you met her now at a network event, you think she's smashing network, she's a pro. But she was that person who couldn't even, filled her with dread saying a name, not just like, no one's asking you to stand up and give us, your life history or give us a talk on rocket science or anything like that. Just stand up, tell us your name, what your business is and what you do. She couldn't do that now. Amazing. So, and I've seen that so many times, the personal development in people, not just getting the business out of the room, but make them better communicators, make them better at closing conversations, make them better at starting conversations. And that is so powerful in a room when you see that happening. And as you say, that can change your perception of going in a room for soggy bacon butty at a golf club at 6 o'clock in the morning, and meeting a load of dickheads who just want to sell at you. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody's got a burning desire to get up tomorrow and go to a B&I meeting or go to a shout meeting or go to a grafters. That isn't their desire. Their desire is to go to a meeting and get more opportunity, get more business. They're not going for whatever the badge is on the door. That isn't for them. So as long as you make them feel that the meeting is about them, it's not for B&I or it's not for all those people. It's for them to get more business. And if at that meeting it's making you feel uncomfortable, then nobody should feel uncomfortable. But just come back and we'll help you. We'll help you through that. So yeah,
it's uncomfortable, isn't it? I've been there, I'm pretty confident. When people going 60 seconds and it's coming out here, I'm just like, I know what I'm saying. I'm just like, and all of a sudden it gets to you, I'm just like, I don't know what is even happening to me.
I mean, Matt, it would fill my missus. It honestly would fill. She's been to a couple of these meetings. She won't come to them now because she just doesn't like that. And that's if that's not for you, it's not for you, is it? Yeah. But you can see it if you're going around the room and you glance over there and people, they'll say, I didn't realise I was going to have to speak today.
It's that thing in class when you have to stand up and read out of a book. Yeah. Just everybody's laughing at you.
Everybody's looking at you.
Yeah, just like...
And it's a bit like the best man speech, isn't it, at a wedding? Nobody wants the best man to fail. Everybody in the room is willing the best man to succeed. Yeah. And everyone will laugh at his jokes, won't they? And it's a bit like in a network. Nobody in a network committee wants somebody to stand up and freeze or not be able to speak or feel uncomfortable. Everybody's wanting to listen to you. They wanting to hear what you do, and they wanting to see if that's useful to you or you can be useful to them. So no one's wanting you to fail. No one's laughing at you. No one's, and that's even the wankers in the room aren't wanting that. You know, everybody in the room is wanting you to do as best as you can when you stand up. But people obviously feel like there's a pressure on them that people are wanting to fail, and that fear of rejection and stuff like that. You know, of people not liking you or not understanding what you do. And actually, it doesn't matter, because that's in your head, not in their head, isn't it? And that's the case in a lot of things in life, isn't it?
The stories we tell ourselves,
you know, get yourself out of your own head is the biggest battle that most people have in life. So yeah.
What are you doing one-to-ones with people as well, Pete? Are you?
Yeah, I try to. Obviously, I'm doing a lot of networking, so I've got a lot of groups. So that's a lot of people. So you know, I'd like to do more, because that is where the relationship building happens, and that's where the referrals come from.
What are you finding with people when you're doing these one-to-ones? Is there a common sort of like theme throughout the one-to-ones you're doing?
I mean, the one-to-ones that I have,
I'll
be honest, I want to have a one-to-one and learn about them to see how I can help them. So I'll just start by listening to what they do. I want to know if it's the first one. So it's the first time I meet you and you've joined a network group, that's a one-to-one, and it's almost, you know, what is it you do? What do you do at weekends? What your family? What's your outlet? And people are like, well, we talk about to business, but I'm looking for that common ground all the time, because that's where rapport's built. That's where you stay in my mind. If I you know, I meet 20 plumbers a week. You know, perhaps a bit of an exaggeration, but I'm not going to remember them all in 6 weeks from now, because that's a lot of plumbers in that time. So what I'm trying to do is remember that person who's having, you know, who's staying in my mind and staying in my mindset, and understanding how they make their clients feel, what it is that they do that's different to another plumber, just to stay on the plumber analogy. So in a one-to-one I want to learn all about you, your business, and who are good referrals for you. It's about listening, isn't it? About listening to people. And again, if you sit down and have a one-to-one with someone, and they sit down and they start talking about them, and you've put an hour aside for that one-to-one, and you're 50 minutes in, and all you've done is spoke about them, then that's, you know, you're missing an opportunity. And I have a good pal of mine. This is not networking directly related, but it's a good analogy. And again, I'm not going to name him on here, and not that he would be embarrassed anyway. But and he good business, successful business. He was flying business class to Abu Dhabi, which tells you he was doing all right in his business. He was going out for the F1 just a few years ago. He was on this flight to Abu Dhabi, sat in his own on business class, and there's a guy. I mean, you're not sat next to someone in business class here, but sat, you know, across from him. And as they get in sort of last sort of third of the flight, probably, with all a few drinks in, they've started chatting to each other. And he's clocked his watch, and it's a similar Rolex to that he's got on. And he said, "Oh, see your watch? I've got that version. I've got the newer or the older version, whatever." And he said, "Oh yeah, I've got that. I've got another one that's such thing." I said, "All right, okay." And they start talking about cars, and I had a Ferrari at the time. He said, "I've got a Ferrari," and I said, "Yeah, I've got a couple of Ferraris actually." So he's like getting pissed off. He said every time I mention something, he's like one up with me, like, you know. He said he's got this, and this is genuine. This story. My mate had a helicopter as well. He says, "I've got an helicopter." He said, "Oh yeah, I've got an helicopter." Like, fucking hell. So he's telling him all about him, and he started telling him. So I had a photocopying business. So anyone's listening to this now who knows me will know what I'm talking about. And he starts telling this guy all about how successful he is at selling photocopiers and how it's funded his Ferrari and his helicopter, blah, 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 and talk about himself for ages. Anyway, he started to get pissed off with him, telling him all about how he's like one better than him all the time. So right as the plane is started, you know, put your seatbelt on, it's starting to descend. He says, "Anyway, mate," he says, "what is it you do?" And he said, I'm in a band. He said, "Oh, fucking in a band? He's got a helicopter, Ferrari. He must have sort of some bad light." He says, "What band is it?" He went, Pink Floyd. So this guy's Nick Mason at Pink Floyd, right? God. And this pal of mine, he sat there for 2 or 3 hours, talking about himself. Himself. I said, imagine the stories he could have been telling you.
Oh my God.
The stories he could have been telling you on that flight. You'd have been down and out on that for years. Yeah. And I use that example not to embarrass my pal, not because he's almost unembarrassable anyway. Yeah. But it's like an example of why listening, you know, is so important, that, you know, because you feel like you should be telling everybody all about you. And you're right, he's right. You know, my mate is rightly proud of his business. He was very successful. He was doing great. Very, very proud, and so he should have been. But just imagine what you could have, the introductions he could have made to you.
Stories.
Yeah, exactly. And so I say that to people, you know, putting that in a networking analogy. listen to people, because their story, it might be that their business is something completely off the scale of what you do. There's not a direct correlation, you're not obvious referral partners, but you don't know whose brother-in-law is who, you don't know who their sister's married to, you don't know who they go to church with on a Sunday morning, or you don't know who there's all the different networks that people don't consider those to be networks. I mentioned I'm a chairman of a football club. The network in my football club and through what I do through football is huge. It's one of the biggest networks I have. But when you first sit people down and they'll say, "Oh, I'm not sure if I know enough people or to be any good at networking." I say, "All right, okay." So because I work on my own. Right, okay, well, tell me a little bit more what you do. Well, yeah, I'm a semi-professional footballer for somebody, or I do this at a weekend, and I'm part of a cricket club, or I'm involved in putting events on for Duke of Edinburgh scheme, or it's amazing what people do. It's really interesting listening to what some people do that you wouldn't have thought they do. That's interesting on its own. But then you go, well, so many people are involved in that. How many people do what you do in? If you do that in Manchester, how many people do it in Liverpool? How many people? And do you deal with them? Oh yeah, we have a conference every year where we all go to it, right? Well, that's a massive network. And they go, oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that. There's a lad that I know recently. I've known him for a while. He's a young footballer, and he played football professionally, and came out of that, and he's now mortgage advisor. And he sat me down and said, Pete, will you help me sort of get my head into network, because I don't think I know that many people. And I said, are you kidding? The people that you know. You go in a dressing room, you've got, in any football dressing room, you've got usually a lot of trades, usually a lot of salespeople. You've got something of everything in there. And then when you've been playing football for 10 years, you move around in all those different dressing rooms you've been to. That's a network of probably 300, 400, 500 people that you know. They all like you, because he's a good lad. They all like you. They all want to help you in your new business. Start with them. Oh yeah, I didn't think that was a network. I thought you just had to get up at 6 o'clock and go to a meeting somewhere to be a good networker, to meet people. The networks we have are incredible.
People don't realise just the networks that he got, mate. I mean, I say this, using the analogy with the guy from Duke in Edinburgh. I bet he doesn't put that Duke in Edinburgh stuff on his social media for his business.
No.
And I'm like, this is what brand is about.
Yeah.
Brand and business is so totally different. If you're brand and you're into Duke of Edinburgh, put it on your page, because everyone will go, oh, I'm in the Duke of Edinburgh, I'm in the job of the Duke. So I've got this business as well. And you build that commonality.
Absolutely. I do an exercise if you've got time in some networking groups where I'll say, the website, what 3 words, which takes you. So anywhere, it's like anywhere in the country, isn't it? So I say, well, let's use that analogy. What 3 words are going to take people to you, directly to you? So think about 3 words that resonate with people, whether it may what your business is, what your personal values are, just 3 words only that you're going to put out there that people will resonate with. And we do that because it's that law of attraction thing again. If you say that out loud, people might think, actually, yeah, I share that same value.
Oh, that's good, mate.
So we have shared values, so therefore we've probably got some shared. So we might do business together. Might not. You might have the opposite effect. I'm saying, oh, I don't like that particularly as a value. Not that people usually stand up and say I'm into something that's negative, but definitely for that law of attraction. And then you think, well, so as somebody, and you go around a room and people often will say the same thing like trust, reliability, but then you'll get, like I did it the other last week with somebody. Somebody said smile is one of the words, and I thought that's not a networking word, but somebody says smile to you, I'm smiling now saying it, because that's what it makes you sort of uplift you, if only for a second when you say the word smile. Little things like that. And I think that was interesting. So he's now interesting to me because he used that, just said 1 word. And then taking that a little step further, back to what you were saying there about, putting it on your social media and your LinkedIn and all that sort of stuff. I said to people, if those are your 3 values, and I do it very short, so they don't have a lot of time to think about it. I said, and if you go away and thought about it for longer, you'd probably come up with 3 different words, or you'd probably at least change at least one of them. But it's good that you do it, because if you're not giving me a marketing answer, you're giving me a genuine answer. But make sure you're happy with those 3, and then put them on your email signature or something like that. Just at the bottom of that, these are my 3 values that I hold dear, or I value, or whatever language suits how you speak. And some people won't even read it on there, some people won't say it, some people just ignore it. But one person might look at that and go, oh, actually, yeah, I share that same value. And then think, I'll respond to that email, and it's cost you nothing. It's took you a minute once, hasn't it? And you never need to do it again. It's just on there. Put it on your social media profile. Put it on every now and again, not going overboard with it, but it's just a little. It's all those little 1% in life, isn't it, that make the differences?
Yeah, I mean that's what we do as branding. Is like the first thing we do when we do branding is come up with the values. People have been going 30 years, they want to change your name and stuff like that, and they're focusing on changing the name and what it should be. I'm like, no. What we're going to do first is we're going to align your values, and we usually do about 4 when we're doing them. I see it more like a table or a chair. You need 4 legs to hold. It's the foundations of the brand. Always come up with the values first, and then your vision, your mission, your purpose, language, and then the name comes, then the logo comes, and all them bit. Them values are so important.
The foundation of it.
The foundations
and
of it.
And you're doing that because you want to attract people,
like-minded
your
people.
customers.
Exactly.
You want your customers who've got the same value and resonate with those values, and it's the same with we're doing it in the way I'm doing it there in networking. You want people that resonate with your values.
It's mint, mate. It's mint.
Then want to speak with you because they find you interesting,
Yeah.
Rather than just another person who does what you do. There's lots of people. There's loads of people out there who do what you do. There's loads of people out there who do what I do. It's finding that difference that someone's going to find you interested enough to either respond to that, or respond to your social media, ask you for that meeting after the networking.
And that's all brand is.
Yeah.
The brand. I'm repeating it now because I want people to hear it, and you've sort of cemented it even more for people. Brand and business. Get your brand right, and the business will follow. Connection, relationships, your values, I just like kindness. And then if somebody just be not heard in a fucking networking meeting, and then someone goes, all right, you'd sort of lead with kindness.
That's a great example of one where if we did that exercise and somebody said that, I would think, that just tells that a story about that person, about that business, about that, because every business is a person, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless you're super big brands, but even there, people think Apple is still Steve Jobs to people, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's
like, again, another one is like we sort of humanise businesses. That's what we try to do, is humanise a business. And you need to create a character, a personality. It needs to be someone, even though you've made it up, so people can really engage with it.
Exactly.
Nobody follows Virgin, but they follow Richard Branson.
Yeah, I mean, he's the ultimate example of it. But even you've got like avatars of people, haven't you? They don't even have to be real people sometimes for them to lock into. Nobody's running around after Ronald McDonald, are they? You know what I mean? There can be not real people within the business, but still people sort of understand what that avatar or that person is. But so I try to do loads of little things like that, in networking meetings. Sometimes you've got time for them because you want to be sending people away with some added value. Now, whether that's an exercise on making sure how to do a good 60 seconds, how to make sure that people understand them properly, how to do a good one-to-one. It's just bringing people into a room, giving them a soggy bacon butty, and let's be right. They usually have bang average cups of coffee, aren't they? All these
food
events.
was pretty decent, to be honest.
Was it all right? That's good.
Yeah.
Good. It has got better, particularly some of the city centre ones and stuff. But I better be careful because people might listen to this. They're my old events at some. Some of them do excellent stuff, teas and coffees. But people aren't going for that, are they? They're going to take some value there. And if they don't leave with any value, they're never going to come back probably to a networking event. If they go and take no value and have just been someone's tried selling at them, in the example you gave earlier on, they're never going to come back. I'm not there to try and make anybody join or part with money at a networking group. I'm here to send away some value. If we send away some value, they'll probably want to come back. And if they come back, then they'll start building relationships, then they'll start doing business. So start with, it's just similar to what you'll be talking about and what you do. Lead with the value proposition, don't you? Yeah. You don't lead with, you must sign up to a networking group because it's really, really good for you. Because you're going to say that because you want me to sign up to your networking group. Whereas if I'm sending away with some tangible benefits, some tangible tips that they go, oh yeah, actually, I could do that. I might just come back again next week. And then somebody's followed up with it in between that meeting, not me, somebody else in the group who's contacted them. They're going, oh, actually, I can see how this can work. Then they might have impact. But if they don't, that's fine. Back to the example of the guy that there, 170 grand contract. Yeah. Someone he'd not met. I had one this morning. Done some business with a visitor that never joined him. B&I. The one good thing about B&I is it can track its stats very, very accurately because there's apps and people update the business they do and all that sort of stuff. So the data is there. And we know in B&I 30% of business is done with visitors that never join. 30%. Now B&I globally did 25 billion, just over billion US dollars last year globally. 30% of that was we know was done with visitors who's never joined BNI. So there's the value of people coming to networking that don't join. You don't have to join. There's value in the room. The bit that we don't know, because you can't track it, because they never tell you, is how much business is done the other way. People in a networking group will spend money with a visitor as well. So there's loads of value in going to networking groups and never joining. Joining is just some people might go to one and still get benefit from it. You might be a member of a group for, I know people that have been in BNI for 25, 30 years. People that I call Ben Griffiths, he met his wife at a BNI. She wasn't his wife at the time. She became his wife, met her at a networking meeting, and that's the story he tells. People go into it for years, people dip in and don't like it and leave, but they'll still have a relationship probably, or someone that they can do business with, or they can introduce, one or the other, or both. Yeah. Ideal.
I mean, went to the BNI meeting, and like I found a friend for life, Jason Jones, you know what I mean? Same with Harrison, and I'm just like, if that's all I've taken away from that, then I'm cool with that.
That's great, and I'd be happy with that. If that was, I'm delighted that you did that for you and for them, and I've no doubt at some point, somewhere down the line, that'll turn into business. You'll probably recommend Jenny to somebody at some point, or she'll
100%. 100%.
We've met through Jay, haven't we? He's put us together, and that's just building networks and building relationships, and. It can be powerful stuff, because everyone thinks they have to measure it in pounds and pence. And it's difficult to do that. And then sometimes we forget about where some of those referrals come from, because they can be third, fourth, fifth, sixth generation. Jason's introduced me to you. We've met today. Yeah. I might introduce you to somebody later that then introduces them to me, and then that turns into a bit of business for me.
Class that, in it.
And then you forget,
that's connection, that, innit?
That's come from Jason introducing me to you, but it's carried on, but you sort of forget where that came from. So that's intangible. Yeah. But we know it happens.
If somebody told me, look, Tim, turn up to the BNI meeting and don't look for business, but all I want you to do is just go in there and help people out and give them referrals, the experience would be totally different for me.
And the expectation
would have been totally different.
And one of the, and it's the same with any networking group, is people are automatically going almost, and in fact I get it, a lot of people say before they've even come, you say, how much does it cost to join? Well, don't worry about that, because you might not want to join. Just come along to the experience it and see if it's for you. There's a cost to it, there's a cost to everything. But don't worry about that. But what's the cost to it? Because I don't want to commit. Well, that's because you're worrying now about a cost. Cost is only an issue in the absence of value. If I could tell you the value first, you wouldn't even be asking me about the cost.
That's meant that, mate.
It's good. You wouldn't be even interested. But I can't show you the value until you've come to see it. So don't worry about it. Just come along, see it. You might meet someone. You might meet a friend for life, like you've just described.
That's the perspective.
How do you value that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's very, very difficult to get past that because we're all, money is an issue to all of us, isn't it? We all need to understand how and where we spend our money. So it's hard to get past that objection first. As I said, nobody woke up this morning with a burning desire to go to a networking meeting. They had a desire to grow the business. So we have to show them the value of doing the networking. And if there's not,
I don't think 2 meetings is enough, mate, for people to feel that value.
Yeah, but it's you're right, and it's the.
I think if it was like 5 or something, I think you'd probably lock.
But you hit the nail on the head with it earlier on, in that you're still not going to develop enough of a relationship in those, because people the group aren't looking at you properly. By properly, I mean you're not part of the group, you're not part of the team, so they're not going to share all their best contacts with you until you become part of the gang almost.
5 times is a sweet spot, I'm telling you. I think it is the sweet spot. If I went 5 times, walls have been come down. I'm like, you know what I mean? Yeah,
it's a difficult one. It's probably no right or wrong answer, because people. Like I went to my first meeting, I got a referral for, if I hadn't got that referral at that first meeting, would I have gone back? Would I have joined? I don't know. I can't honestly give you the answer to that, because I did. So, but you're right. Some people come in and they love it straight away, and they can get it, and they can see the opportunity, and just know straight away they can work with people in the room. Some people who don't see the business in the room have got to see it more often to understand selling past the room and selling through the room. So that can resonate with different people's brains, kick in and activate and value different things at different times, don't they? So there isn't a one size fits all answer to that. But I do agree with you that people, if they don't see the value quick enough, they write it off quickly. We all write stuff off quickly in our minds, don't we? Yeah. If you walk
Yeah,
to
didn't
use your
work. Didn't
examples.
work. Yeah.
Didn't work. Doesn't work. That I walked in. All I got was two knobheads who come trying to sell at me as soon as I walked in. Didn't get any business from it. So yeah, it's not for me. That it's difficult. But if you come back a second time and that's still your same experience, but you've still not got to the real people in the room, the real connectors who are going to work for you.
Yeah. Love the football analogy on the thing. Get into them.
Yeah. It's like I say, that's my football background. But it's ultimately all boils down to relationships and understanding how those relationships can deliver value for you. If you value those relationships in pound, shilling and pence on day one, week one, then it probably isn't going to be for you. You're probably better off going down the higher value but quicker return. There's the Facebook ads, the Google ads, that sort of stuff. Which I do all that as well, by the way. I'm not poo-pooing any of that. But that's probably for you. If it's quick fix for you, if you value relationships and can see where that could take you, and just the added. It's all the added values to it. It's added, you're not just going to get a £1,000 order, you're going to get a £1,000 order and somebody that's probably going to then introduce you to somebody else that'll turn into another order, that's going to become a friend, that's going to take you out to this, is going to help you, all the unseen stuff and I mentioned before about the sort of one-man bands, it's a word that I like, 'cause I find it a bit disrespectful to people. Some of the, you have a fantastic business that's just you, just because your one-man band makes you sound smaller. But anyway, I forgot the point I was going to make now. What were we talking about?
I don't know, but it was good though. Yeah, you have your fucking upliners thinker. I'm like, he's going to drop an absolute...
I've gone off on a tangent, I forgot where I was going.
He's going to drop a nugget here on me.
It'll come back to me.
Yeah, I think... like I said, mate, I'll go back to the two thing. I just don't think there's enough on the two thing. I think it needs the fourth or fifth one, I think. Because I think if somebody turns up twice and then they jib, it's like, it's not for me. But they turn up on the third one, they show up the fourth one, the big dogs and the football chats go, you know what, this actually guy's turned up again. Yeah. Maybe he's serious, maybe I'll drop my ball down. Yeah. Then the fifth time, I think this guy's going to sign up.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with the point.
But I know there's money to be made. But people can fleece it after 5 times. It's just you've got to. That would probably attract. The hunters will keep coming.
Attract the hunters back, and then you've got more hunters every week because you let them to come more and more. So it's listen. If somebody said to me like I need to come back, I'm just not quite sure. But I felt like they were genuine, and it'd be back to the listening bit, listening to what they're actually saying and looking for the are they actually trying to understand how it works for them and their business rather than just going, can I come back because I want to meet a load more people to try and suck business out of them? You can usually see the hunters. Then I'd say, come back again. Come back and have a look. If that's going to make the difference, one more visit's not going to kill anybody. We're talking about networking here. It's not life or death. Yeah. So come back and have a look. But what I would ask them is what you're hoping to see again that you've not seen now. Well, I've not managed to speak to those two people yet. So, I can perhaps arrange for them to give you a call. I can do better than that. Get you a one-to-one with them or some. It's understanding what it is that they're hoping to see again. And if that was a genuine, then I'd say, yeah, come back again. It's not, it's not something I'm going to, beat somebody up about if that was important to them. But yeah.
Where can people find you, mate? If they want to get in touch with you and get a bit of advice off you on LinkedIn, Instagram. Do you want that? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn, Gray, Peter Gray with A-Y. But I call myself a fenestration entrepreneur on there as a fenestration entrepreneur, which is just a posh word for a double glazing salesman. So if people are looking for me, they'll find me on there. That's how you know it's me on LinkedIn. But yeah, find me on LinkedIn. Reach out to me. More than happy to speak on an individual basis or get along to what I need to. You can find me on socials, on BNI Manchester, on Grafters Supergroups Manchester, and my own is, what's my own Instagram? Bigman2410, I think I came on there.
I think I've just followed you because it came up Big Man and I'm just like, ooh, and then I thought, oh, it's Peter Gray. Like, what's he trying? Who's this now?
Who's this Scally? Yeah. So that's. Yeah, absolutely. People reach out. I love to connect people. I love to see how we can help and put people together. Hopefully, I find it interesting and fascinating that psychology of putting people together and watching those connections happen. The best ones are like some of the examples I've given her. I nearly named her then with the girl who came along who was so shy, couldn't speak, to then watch them doing their business. They've grown their business on the back of networking. Their best customers are through people they've met through networking, and then watching them connect people. That is so powerful. I love doing that. We're working on a new the new grafters group in Bolton. It starts the buzz from putting 2 or 3 people in a room and then growing that room and putting more and more people and inviting them, and then they start doing business with each other, and then they're talking about, I got him involved in this contract, and that's at that point I'm not making any money out of that interaction, but that's as rewarding as the membership money. It's more rewarding than the membership money when they join, because that means the membership money just looks after itself. It happens because if they're doing that, they're going to renew again. They're going to keep coming back. Not only that, they're going to tell other people about it, and that's the buzz really with networking. Watching those relationships, hearing those stories about how people, and that's really why I do it, because people that have built the business and make changes, and they've didn't have an holiday last year, but this year they've gone off to wherever, they took the family, and they're intangible things, and they're not absolutely 100% attributable to networking, but it's played its part in it, and it's really, really powerful stuff. Love it.
Appreciate you, Pete. Thanks for coming on, mate.
No,
Thanks for
pleasure.
listening, everybody. Goodbye.